Fernando, you played under Unai Emery. Was he as brutal with his squad rotation back then as well? And why is it that he does it so much?
Why?
Yeah.
Because he's like this. He's always
Does he not know
his
his best 11?
He changed a lot. He changed a lot. Always. When we had we were in Valencia, all the players are ready for him. Yes, you play La Liga, you play Champions League, and you play Coupe de King. He changed a lot, always, and that is a good news for the players sometimes, because when you not play normally, you are ready, because you don't know if in the next game you can play. You know, he has the ideal 11 for him, and when you play against one big team, always is the same 11, ideal 11, no? But he's one of the how do you say, the coaches that always utilize the 23 players.
But I've noticed that in the Premier League, he didn't in this game, obviously, that they were ahead. He's been making very early substitutions at half-time. And I think journalists here, certainly in the Premier League, were quite surprised about that, because I think in the past we'd heard that he'd made much later substitutions. Was that right when you were working with him? Was it a lot later?
It's the same. It's the same. Maybe, I don't know, in 2008, I was with him in 2008. It's the same mentality. It's his philosophy, you know.
I think it's a manager. It's a special manager. You know, you have managers that they leave the 80% to the players to win games. In this case, this manager especially, he thinks he can bring more tactically to the players to win games. He thinks he can affect the game, you know, from the very first moment, and even in halftime, and even in any decision he can make. So some managers are more natural and say, look, I can only bring the 20% into the team. The rest is, you know, on the players. But in this case, he approaches the games with a different mentality. He thinks that he can win games from the bench. That's the problem with Emery.
Is he quite relentless?
That's why he changes so many players, because he studies all the opposition teams.
Right.
He plays the game. He approaches the games counting, you know, on the opposition teams, what they have. So that's why he's so tactical.
So fair to say, a little bit like Rafa Benitez?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the same. He's the same school.
The same mold.
He's the same model, same school.
And the key of the Unai Emery is his second coach, Carcedo. Is a good complementary.
Okay.
Because sometimes he's nervous, and Carcedo is quiet. He talks with you, and it's very important for him to have Carcedo right side.
But then when you have that kind of squad rotation as a player, you've been through it, Fernando. Does that not give you, you know, you don't get that comfort, you don't kind of go into that rhythm, there's no confidence as well. Always keeping you on your toes can backfire for players, no?
Yeah. Normally, yeah.
Because we've seen, for example...
But you call it rotation. In this case, he doesn't call it rotation. I don't know why people are so shocked by the word rotation in football. Some managers, they do rotations, but in this case, he just put the first 11. He thinks, but he's going to win the game. Just that. Yeah. So he doesn't think about the names of the players. He thinks that if he wants to play with with a left centre back, because he thinks he can win the game in there, he's going to do it. Doesn't think about the name. So it's not a rotation. He's approaching the game in a way where he's thinking on the best 11 to beat the opposition he's playing against. And depending on the opposition he's playing against, he's going to put a different team. So it's not rotation.
He analyzes the rival, he analyzes everything. And
it's not about resting players.
He decides.
But then on a defensive side, isn't it better as well? You're more solid if you kind of already know who is your solid back four week in, week out, as a defender yourself.
As a defender, you want to play every game. But
it's easier if people that you know all the time.
But as a manager, if you are able to have 7 players ready instead of 4, it's much better. If you are able to play in 3 competitions, you can play 7 defenders and they're ready for you every single game. Why not? I don't see anything wrong in that. especially in modern football.
All I would say is certainly in the past few seasons, even when we saw Leicester, you've often seen a very solid, very consistent, not many changes, and the players do tend to like that. But I also find it fascinating to hear what you're saying about Emery. And in fact, it's made me think that maybe I would go for Arsenal in that third spot, because he sounds like the kind of manager that could, really look at those fixtures and really sort of make big decisions on it. So it sounds like you feel quite highly of him.
He's going to study each fixture like if it was the last one. So that's the way he approaches the games. He's a tactical. For him, the games are wars, and he's going to try to win the war in there and in there. Mourinho's quite the same. Yeah. Mourinho, he reads the game really well, and before the game, he knows, he tries to know what the weakness is in the opposition team to try to exploit.
Do the players buy into it though? Because sometimes you hear this, don't you, that the manager's a tactical genius, but sometimes the players are too baffled by too many tactical changes. But do you think he has the right balance?
Who? Him?
Emery, Unai Emery.
For sure. Yeah. I think so. Yeah. The problem is when you are in one team and you have 11 players with quality and the others no. Maybe you don't have a rotation. Definitely. But if you have 23 players with quality, normally you're thinking about the next game and to take the best for this game, no?
And your experiences under Unai Emery, when he made changes, he left somebody. How did he manage the person who he's left out? Did he speak to them? Did he call them into his office? How did he?
Normally he speaks with the player before the game.
Yeah.
Before the game, he said, you are not. Normally you not play, but today you are ready because tomorrow you play. Okay. Always he always talk about a lot with the players.
The thing is that
a lot.
He needs a squad.
Yeah.
He's a special manager. He needs like Benitez. He needs a squad with no big names, with no big egos. He cannot handle big egos. He needs a squad with teamwork players that he can shape,
and it looks players
like he can develop, players that he can get into his system. Then, if he's got, like I said, depth in his squad, and he's got the right players to work for him during the season, and they follow him in this during the season, and they are ready for it, then he can get results, like he did in Sevilla, winning three Europa Leagues, back to back, because the players were ready for him. They were players. They were great players, but no big egos, no big names.
So, are there some players at Arsenal that maybe are big egos?
I know who you're thinking of.
I think you're thinking of Ozil, yeah?
No, I'm just asking you.
No one wants to say it, but thank you, Mitchell.
You were thinking of him. The problem is I say the name.
It's interesting though, because he has said, hasn't he, in the past about Ozil, he made a very loud statement.
I think he needs to learn how to deal with egos. He's still in there. He's still learning, because I know he was in PSG and it was difficult for him because those were really big egos. But in here, I think the squad is quite good for him. And Ozil can be the only special player because he's a talented player. But it's his work, it's his job to try to get him, and into the system, because it will need him. A team like Arsenal needs sometimes a different player.
He's the kind of guy who will score the winner in the Europa League final or something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
But you have to keep those players happy, sorry.
So you do think that Emery actually has improved Arsenal? Because we actually put up a poll on our Twitter on Stadium Astro. 68% of viewers say that they are still the same. There's no improvement.
Well, I think it's too
compared to Arsene Wenger.
Yeah, I know, but it's too early to say it. You know what I mean? How long has Arsene Wenger been in Arsenal? 20? How many years? 25? I don't even remember. 25, whatever. Yeah. So we cannot judge Emery in only 7 months.
But they are 12 points better off at this stage this season than they were last season. So if you want to just look at statistics and numbers, then they have improved. But obviously, you want to see a team that are challenging consistently every year for a Premier League title. And as you alluded to earlier, they are not quite there yet. But
not yet. But
how many seasons
this
away?
performance maybe in the past, in the last 4 years, 5 years, they will lose. So right now, the good news is that they play against Man United, and they've been the first team or the first side to beat Ole. since Ole, Man United since Ole in there on the bench, and that's big news because first of all you need to score the goal. Yes, first of all you need to start with a good tempo, something they did. They went for the game. Second of all, after scoring that goal, you need to hold off Man United with a professional performance, something that they did, and they found the second goal. And after the second goal, they just killed the game with the tempo. So for me, they show character as a team against the best team you can play against in the Premier League for the fans and for the media, right now. So I think it's a massive win for Emery and for the team, for the confidence of the team and the club and the fans as well. And if they have changed, well, they look naive sometimes. Yes, they look naive, like they looked in the past. But you cannot change the character and the personality of the players, as you said, in just 8 months.
He's made progress with Arsenal Football Club, in my opinion. A couple of the facts, as Alison just mentioned, they have 12 points more than at this stage last season. That's an uplift. Liverpool have made progress. They have a lot more points than they had at this stage last season. If you look at the last 2 seasons, Arsenal finished 6th, and before that they finished 5th. At the moment they're 4th. They're threatening to finish 3rd. They truly are. There's no doubt about that. So yeah, I think he's making progress. I really do. I think it, different to Wenger, of course, but progress has to come with change.
And you spoke about that naivety, but one thing I have seen is their defenders are looking a lot stronger. They certainly looked good in this game, and also the North London derby as well. They looked a lot better.
The system looked better, not the players.
Right.
The system looked better.
So the
defensively,
tactics,
I mean.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what I think, especially in big games this year. So let's see what happens. But I see a better Arsenal, defending right now as a system, as a team, and they are able, to show it in big games. That's an improvement. If it's going to be enough, I don't know. The problem is, can you match with the squad you got right now? Of course, because he's Emery, and we know that he's going to try to match the individuals that Man City and Liverpool have, or even Chelsea, with the team, with the teamwork. That's the only thing he can do. Yes, he has Aubameyang, he has Lacazette, he has Ozil, so he has enough up front. But in terms of creativity, maybe he doesn't have players like Man City or Liverpool.
Yeah.
But I think he's starting from the back.
Yeah, and I think
he's building up from the back.
And I think that's one big change that he has made, and that is that he let Petr Cech start the season. Okay, and slowly but surely he's introduced Leno. He's done it very, very subtly. And I believe that Petr Cech, well, I think he's announced he's going to retire at the end of the season anyway. And I believe that Leno is more suited to the way the modern game, or the way the game is now, to Petr Cech, and that is playing out from the back. So another progress for Arsenal Football Club. And that's not easy for me to say as a former Spurs player, but I've said it.